call meeting to order, Tuesday, January 8th, 2019, 9 a.m. Full county board meeting. Clerk will call a roll, please.
Alt.
Here.
Bard.
Here.
Behrens.
Here.
Ullman. Bowers.
Here.
Kokenauer.
Here.
Crow. Curtis.
Here.
Doobie.
Here.
Ducott.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Johnson. McGinnis. McTaggart. Awful.
Here.
Sure.
Here.
Sticknot.
Present.
Whitlock.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Zumwalt.
Present.
16 present, 4 absent.
And Mrs. Awful?
Mr. Chairman and fellow members, we have Pastor Trey Shepherd from Grace Bible Church and Sister Park to start us out with prayer today.
Well, good morning, and it's a privilege to be here. So would you please bow with me for a word of prayer? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can come to you in prayer today. Father, I'm grateful personally for the opportunity to pray on behalf of this county's board. We recognize that we come to you only through the name of and in the person of Jesus Christ, his life and death and resurrection. And I pray, Father, that each person here will have a personal relationship with you through faith in him. Father, I do pray for this board meeting that is about to commence. I pray that they would meet with the humble recognition that there is no human authority except from you, and that every governing board, even this very board, has been instructed and instituted by you to be a servant to the public's good and for their protection and justice. I pray, Father, that you would direct their discussions and their deliberations and their decisions, so that, Father, they would act in a way that is good and pleasing to you. I pray for each man and woman that is represented on this board, that you would give them health, peace, and wisdom, that they might blamelessly administer this government that you have given them in this county. Father, we thank you for the opportunity, and I pray your blessings on this meeting. We ask it in the name of your Son, Jesus.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have a copy of the agenda in front of you. You have a motion to approve that agenda. Mrs. Awful, is there a second? Mr. Ducat, are there any questions or comments on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is approved. Minutes from the December 11th, 2018 session. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Mr. Zumwalt, is there a second? Mr. Bowers, are there any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is approved. Payroll. Motion to approve the payroll. Mr. All. Is there a second? Mr. Stickman. Are there any questions on the payroll? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bard.
Here. Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kokenauer.
Yes.
Crow. Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Ducott.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sticknot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
16-0.
Okay, public comments. Are there any public comments this morning? Seeing none, we'll move on to the outside organization reports. Mr. Berrigan.
Working? I'm technically challenged, so I'm glad somebody turned it on. I don't see too many unfamiliar faces, but for the benefit of our new members, I guess. I'm Kent Barradry. I'm the executive director of the Deer Point Economic Development Association. We are not a county committee, but we are financed in part by the county. So, thank you. All right. Did anybody see David Copperfield in town last week? On Thursday, there were buildings across the street from Casey's, and on Friday morning, there were no buildings across the street. They tore down the Radio Shack and the Burger King to make way for the new McDonald's. They did, I was just saying, they turned it into empty lots. That's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be new, state-of-the-art, dual drive-in, kiosks to order from, place your order, go sit down, they'll bring it to you. It's a big change for a McDonald's type restaurant. It's been a long time coming. A lot of people asking where and when and how, but it's coming. They're expecting to be open April or so. The Yorko Bosch building out there did sell, it closed. Waverly Trucking is the company. I provided diagrams of the building and a phase 1, phase 2 environmental audits. And even after seeing those and visiting the site and seeing the condition it was in, the principal in the deal wasn't scared off at all. There'll be a lot of work done out there. I think it'll be done over an extended period of time in sections. I don't believe that Waverly needs the whole building, so they will probably be making some probably warehousing space, something like that available as well. But there won't be a lot of jobs coming out there. There'll be a few, but one good thing is it'll stay on the tax rolls. I told you last month that at the old Casey's up there, Jim and Kathy Blunk were going to be the new owners of it. I spoke to Dan McCullough. He said that he hopes to complete the remodel by the middle of this month. The DMV is supposed to be out of the building they're in by February 1st. Thankfully, that traffic will still keep coming to Watsika. Out there where the DMV is leaving from, out by the Big R store, that will house a new O'Reilly Auto Parts store. So little old Watsika will have 3 auto parts stores, Big R and Walmart. So we should be able to find our parts. Nichols Paint and Fab, our TV boy, been trying to help him find a location. Seems like every empty lot on the highway here in Watsika, they want at least $250,000 for it. One of them was at $500,000. Justin was about ready to give up, but I did find him a spot that we're working on right now. I negotiated a deal between 2 contiguous property owners along Route 24 out there. They agreed on prices and everything else. We are now working on some financials to qualify for loan and that kind of thing. Watsika's working on a mitigation plan. Eric Cece has been working on the county's mitigation plan for some time. Apparently the city needs their own plan as well. I'm not entirely sure what caused it to come up, but a couple special projects they did plan of their own. Mayor John asked if I would sit on that committee, and I told him I'd do anything to improve the flood situation around Watsika. And of course, Chairman John and Eric I think you're both working on that Illinois, Indiana coalition. I believe both of you are doing that. Watsika, I think, brokered a DCEO loan to pay for the cost of that, which was great. I have high hopes that they'll come up with some good ideas, good options from that. I know they're putting in some time and effort for it. If you read the paper, you know that the Big R store chain headquartered here in Watsika sold, in large part to a businessman from Minnesota. There's some pretty disturbing rumors running around town that they'll change the name, they'll close their offices and warehouses in Watsika and move them elsewhere. I hope that's rumor. I haven't been able to talk to the new owner and ask him that question directly, but we just need to make sure that they know that Big R used to be called Rural King, and rural means you should stay in the country. there's an expansion of another of the county's major employers being considered. That one's outside of Watsika. It's still in the negotiation stage, but would bring quite a few additional jobs if and when it gets completed. And we have a serious contender for a revolving loan. T&D Metal Products is planning an expansion in the old Big R store building. They've been in there for 4 or 5 years, renting it, leasing it as a warehousing area. They have purchased the building now, and they are going to they're gonna put a new production line in there, and they'll be doing light assembly and fabricating. It won't be anything like the giant stamping presses they have out on the other end of town here at their main plant, which is good, because that's gonna be a really, really good retail spot too, with Casey's and McDonald's, and I know we even had Walgreens interested in the spot out there at one time, so maybe we'll rekindle that too, hard to say. But I pushed a revolving loan idea with them because they were also considering buying the former Shoemaker Electric building down in Hoopston, and I didn't want to see that happen. There'll probably be about 40 jobs when they get that new production line in there. And 40 jobs would qualify them for more money on a revolving loan than we even have in our fund. And it's the same, the city, I went to and sat down with John Allhands, mayor, and their revolving loan fund is about the same size as ours. So they would be qualified for more than the city of Watsika has as well. So we put our heads together and decided that a joint effort, Watsika and the county, working with them on revolving loans, would be the best thing, because we both want to have money in our funds, seed money for other opportunities that come along. So John was on board with that, and with his permission, I provided our application, and I provided the city's package, and they have to be treated as separate loans. They can't be combined. We may be able to combine some, copies of financials or something, but at any rate, we're waiting now for them to submit the application so we can take them to our respective loan review committees and get 40 new jobs. That's going to be great. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
What's gonna happen to the old Big R? You got anything? You're just gonna tear, I'm not Big R, McDonald's.
I'm tearing it down.
Is there gonna be anything put in there, park or?
Don't know there won't be anything built in there. It's the rules from floodways and things like that. If they ever filled that in, it would have to come from the same area, and I don't think there's any plans for anything ever being, there's no discussion at all of any plans. It's been talked about as a parking lot, splitting it up to Kingdon's and what's the other restaurant next door? Slicks, splitting that up for parking for them, things like that. I don't think there's any real plan for it. It's just, they're gonna tear it down. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Are there any other outside organization reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to the committee reports. Members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred policy and procedure would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on December 27, 2018 at 9 a.m. Members present were Scherer, Behrens, Alt, and Sticknott. Michael McTaggart and Barbara Awful were absent. Also present, EMA Director Eric Stacy, Director of Environmental Health Terry Iman, Russell Bills, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Charlie Alt and seconded by Marvin Sticknott to approve the agenda. That motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. The committee chairs gave their monthly reports. Highway Chairman Charlie Alt reported the Highway Department will be setting the date for their annual maintenance letting. Management and Judicial Chairman Lyle Behrens reported continued discussion will be held on the Smart Watt contract, and the paperwork they delivered will be reviewed. Also, bids will be open for the solar farm. Normal reports will be received for the Judicial Committee. Tax Chairman Marvin Sticknott reported the committee will receive their monthly reports. The EMA Director Eric Stacy reported to the committee regarding the monthly meetings he has recently attended. Also, Stacy will be hosting an independent study course for NIMS training on January 7th and January 10th at 6:30 p.m. Stacy said these courses are recommended for elected officials to take. Stacy will obtain a list from Finance Manager Amanda Longfellow as to who has already taken the courses. County Board Chairman John Schur gave an update on flood matters in Iroquois County, stating they are continuing to pursue ways of mitigating floods and making situations better. The meeting was held on December 20th in Rensselaer, Indiana, with the Iroquois River Water Conservancy District. The matter of the certification of compliance for motor fuel tax and township bridge program funds was tabled until the next meeting. Schur discussed the county's financial condition, stating there may be a need to be changes made in the future, such as finding additional sources of revenue. Each year, our labor costs increase due to ASME and FOP contracts. Schur also noted he and Lyle Behrens attended a meeting with IDA Director Ken Baragry in regards to Iroquois County having a landfill, but it is not likely to happen in the near future. Schur stressed the need for residents to make their purchases within Iroquois County. Online sales tax was discussed, and Schur suggested making Longfellow the point of contact for the Department of Revenue. During old business, Schur informed the committee he received a proclamation declaring January 20 to 26, 2019 as School Choice Week. It was moved by Behrens and seconded by Charlie Alt to approve the proclamation designating January 2026, 2019 as School Choice Week in Iroquois County. That motion carried by a voice vote. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Sticknott and seconded by Behrens to adjourn at 9:42 a.m. That motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all those present, and I move for its adoption. Is there a second? Mr. Sticknott, second. Are there any questions on the report? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Omenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Dooley.
Yes.
Dupas. Hughes. Awful.
Yes.
Schur.
Yes.
Sticknott.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
16-0.
Finance Committee, Mr. Alt.
Mr. McTaggart couldn't be here today, so you'll have to listen to me. Your committee, whom was referred, finance, will leave to submit following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administration Center on January 3rd at 9 a.m. Members present were Charlie Alt, Paul Bowers, Erna Curtis, Marvin Sticknott, Joe Young, and Sherry Johnson. Michael McTaggart was absent. Also present, County Clerk Lisa Thatcher, Treasurer Kirk Albers, County Board Chairman John Schur, Sheriff Derek Hagan, ICPH Administrator Dee Shepard, Supervisor of Assessments Bob Kirker, 911 Director Eric Raymond, EMA Director Eric CC, Public Defender Samantha Dodds, Laura Cummings with Smart Watts, Susie Warner with Homestar Insurance, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. Meeting was called to order. It was moved by Joe Young and seconded by Paul Bowers to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote, excuse me. There was no public comments. Public Defender Samantha Dodds informed the committee that she would like to change her work week to 30 hours per week. Dodds told the committee she is putting in that many hours, but is not documented that way. Dodds said if she can have her hours changed, she will receive student loan forgiveness. Dodds let the committee know she was not asking for a pay raise, just a raise in her numbers of hours worked any week. The Finance Committee agreed to revisit the matter in February, allowing Dodds time to show them proof of a breakdown on what she works each month. Susie Warner with Homestar Insurance introduced herself to the new board members. Warner spoke briefly on what her company offers county employees. Department heads gave their monthly reports. There are as follows. EMA Director Eric Cece reports he will be hosting NIMS training courses this month. 911 Director Eric Raymond reports that the grant for 911 generators went live in December. He also spoke briefly about waiting on a quote for a new CAD system. Sheriff Derek Hagan reports 2 new squad cars have been purchased and equipment is being installed. He also reports the deputy that has been on leave for 22 months has been terminated. Hagan submitted a claim for winter training conference. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Ernie Curtis and second by Marvin Stignock to pay the claims, subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. Finance Manager Amanda Longfellow told committee revised shell referral invoices is included with their list of claims. They were there on the previous invoice. The correct amount is $1,300 for annual service fee, $1,650 for the annual licensing support and upgrading. During old business, Lori Cummings with Smart Watts was intended to address any question related to contracts that were sent to the county. Also, Sarah Johnson reminded the committee that she requested support from IDA Director Ken Verity regarding the funds that are dispersed on their revolving loan fund. The city committee requested the correct amount be reported in the minutes for telecommunicators retro pay. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Marvin Stignock and second by Paul Hours to adjourn at 9:18 a.m. Motion carried by a full vote, all of which is respectfully submitted. Make a motion to approve the report as presented.
Motion on the floor to approve the finance report. Is there a second? Mr. Curtis, are there any questions or comments on the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bowers.
Yes.
Okenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Dupont.
Yes.
Hughes. Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Stignock.
Yes.
Willow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
16-0.
IT Committee, Mr. Sticknall.
I'm pinch hitting this morning, so as with Charlie, bear with me. Mr. Chairman and members of the County Board, your committee to whom was referred IT would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 3rd, 2019 at 9:32 a.m. Members present were Young, Bauer, Shearer, Sticknall. McTaggart was absent. Also present, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, Treasurer Kurt Albers, 911 Director Eric Raymond, ICPHD Administrator D. Shippert, Michael Tabor, and Troy Harney with area-wide. County Board Member Charlie Alt, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Shearer
and seconded by Bauer to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Administrator D. Shippert expressed her issues with the tablets bought through AreaWide. They weren't the tablets she ordered when received. Shippert had problems with both tablets not working correctly. Therefore, her employees could not access client accounts. Shippert said there is constant miscommunication with AreaWide. Shippert mentioned how important it is for her employees to have working tablets. Michael Tabor with AreaWide suggested remedies for Shippert's problems with tablets and her service with AreaWide. Tabor also mentioned discussing backup tablets for Shippert's employees. County Board Chairman John Scher recognized the issue and it needing to be settled. County Clerk Lisa Fancher provided the committee with an update on cybersecurity that Michael Tabor and AreaWide will be taking a step forward in the process of doing an audit today. During new business, 911 Director Eric Raymond discussed Seculor, an internet security company. Raymond estimated the cost to be about $8,500 for the Seculor option. Raymond will reach out to Michael Tabor with AreaWide and also to ETSB board. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Sticknut and seconded by Bowers to adjourn at 9:52 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by those present, and I move for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the IT report. Is there a second? Mr. Young, are there any questions or comments on the report? Mr. Skokenauer.
Has the tablet thing been resolved, Lee, or
No.
we still in the middle of it?
No, we paid for those tablets on September 27th, and right now, I could talk to you an hour about all the things that happened with these tablets,
It
but
hasn't
no,
been resolved.
it has not been resolved.
Is there an end in sight where it will be
I
resolved?
received an email on Friday that said that the tablets that I originally ordered are now, during this meeting that, whose minutes you're gonna approve, we were told that it would take 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
I got an email on Friday, it's gonna be another 3 weeks.
We're 6 weeks out.
We're probably, at this
Okay.
point in time, at least another 3 weeks out. That's a long time to pay for a product and not have it.
So are we looking for any kind of reimbursement, maybe?
Well, they have provided us with an alternative, because what we did was we went upstairs and got old ones, but we used those until like to completely crashed to the point where we couldn't even turn them on. And, at that point in time, I was done working with the area representatives that they were sending in, so I called and spoke directly to their CEO.
So have they talked about any kind of reimbursement for this trouble that we're having?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they have actually been, so they brought loaner tablets to us, which are working. So we have those.
Okay.
But the ones that we have ordered, they upgraded them for us because they were having such a problem getting the other ones. The new ones that have been ordered are upgraded at no charge to us. So we'll see what happens with that. But
So we're operating with the loaners, okay,
we're operating okay with the loaners.
thank you.
Thanks.
I think to answer your question, Kevin, when we do get finally the tablets that we want, we can look into if there is any compensation, reimbursement, or whatever. They just keep pushing back the delivery date on these things. It's very frustrating.
Okay, I'm sure you're on top of it.
Are there any other questions or comments? Mrs. Crowe?
Could someone expound on Seculor and what we're looking for that to cover in the way of the internet security?
Mr. Raymond?
Seculor is a company, it's specifically for PSAPs, so 911 centers. Seculor is a company that goes in and basically will put a device that they call a Paladin, and it sits in front of the internet connection to see what's coming to you. I had And that's the easiest way that I can explain it in its most simplest form. So what you'll get is it'll sit there for a week. You'll get, afterwards, you'll get a report that'll show you everything that's coming into you. So there's rare circumstances where, for example, our county should be reaching outside of the United States. So if you're seeing that kind of internet traffic, they will capture that and find out why for you. And you'll get that in a wrapped up report. It's very, very good for hackers, ransomware software that's getting installed into our systems that we will be unaware of until we see something like this. This is on the costly side of it. I did have a conversation with Michael Tabor. He's got some other options that will be showing up in the IT committee here in the next, I'll say, probably few months. I don't want to necessarily put too many words into his mouth there, but I'm sure he's going to be presenting something. But the reason why I brought it to the committee was there are things out there, and I simply wanted to make sure that the committee had some awareness to it. Did that answer a majority of what you were looking for?
This wouldn't be just a one-time thing, it would be ongoing.
Secular itself has the Paladin system, the $8,500, if chosen to invest in it, is a 7-day program. You will then send the device back to them, you'll get a report so you can determine. They have a much more comprehensive program that is an ongoing program, and it ranges in about the 30,000 plus annually, so that's obviously considerably more expensive. And from the conversation that I had with Michael Tabor, there's a much more cost-effective solution. So I'm waiting on some more information to come to me so I can see that, so I'd really like to.
So this is just diagnostic, this is not preventative or curative?
Correct.
Any other questions or comments on the IT report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Okenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Dupat.
Yes.
Hughes. Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sticknot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
16-0.
Management Services, Mr. Barron.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom was refer to management services, begging to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the administrative center on January 4, 2019 at 10 a.m. Members present were Behrens, Alt, Ducal, Bowers, Zumwalt, and Johnson. Kevin Bowman was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schur, Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake, 911 Director Eric Raymond, Sheriff Derek Hagan, County Board Member Donna Crowe, and Marvin Sticknoth, David Kluskins with SmartWatt, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by John Zumwalt, second by Paul Dukoff, to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. There were no updates on the county farm. David Kluskins discussed building efficiencies and stated that the committee received a resolution in November with a leasing provider. SmartWatt has finalized the contract work for the county. County Board Chairman John Schur explained they were advised not to move forward per State's Attorney Jim Devine. Schur went on to state all concerns with contract. Per State's Attorney Jim Devine, concerns brought up were stated as 16-year contract, $1 million contract. Many members will not be on committee in 16 years. Sheriff Derek Hagan is custodian of the jail and courthouse, and he has to be in agreement with the items. It was moved by Sherry Johnson, second by Zumwalt, to table SmartWatt Guarantee Energy Savings Contract for 1 month, allowing the committee time to review the contract and formulate questions. Motion carried by a voice vote. Solar bids were opened as follows. Citron Power, $1,000 per usable acre for 20 years with a slight inflation escalator of 0.5% per annum. It was moved by Johnson, second by Dukoff, to approve the solar farm bid from Citron Power LLC in the amount of $1,000 per usable acre contingent upon State's Attorney Jim Devine's review. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake reported on the following. Serviced all generators at Administrative Center, built pump septic tank out of jail, snow removal and salt, little activity done.
a couple times. Drake said he has salted a couple of times and Trent has plowed once. Issues with visitation monitors, a service call was placed and they have been fixed. Elevator at courthouse was having problems. Drake remedied himself. Issues with the boilers were fixed. Window leaks were fixed. Upper or west of jail doors need fixed, having to hand crank open and shut. Courthouse lobby chairs need cleaning. Floor mats ordered for health department. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Johnson, second by Paul to pay the claims, second, subject to county board approval. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Old business, AT&T was brought up, although no update. They're yet to hear back from them. Excuse me. During the new business, school concerns were brought up by Alt briefly. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Charlie Alt, second by Jim Walt to adjourn the meeting at 10:57 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted. I move for its adoption.
The motion on the floor, excuse me, to approve the management report, seconded by Charlie Alt. Are there any questions or comments? Mrs. Crowe.
Under the citrine power paragraph, I believe that we should add, that Jim Devine's review of contract and other details. Because, or maybe of any contract or other documentation and details, something like that.
I think if you want something added, you need to be specific with exactly what you want, how you want to word it.
And was it said?
I beg your pardon?
And was it said in the meeting?
I don't recall. But I think that was the.
Is this in the minutes of the meeting? What happened in the meeting? Did it happen?
Does anyone else remember that?
I don't recall exactly the discussion. I know we wanted it approved by the state's attorney, but I don't remember the exact wording that we used in the meeting.
It was contingent upon Jim Devine's review of the contract.
Yeah, and I don't have a contract. I mean, I've got materials related to their proposal, and I've reviewed those, but I don't know that we have a.
But no contract, just
Correct.
just their bid.
Right. So I've reviewed their bid, and that's fine, but as far as any contract. So maybe going forward, the board approves going forward with the bid, or accepting the bid contingent upon future contract approval by the board, because we all need to look at a contract that we're going to enter into eventually, so I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay. But that wasn't said in the meeting, so if we add that or.
You could add that to a motion today?
Yeah.
Based on the information that you had in the meeting.
So we'd like to do that.
Do we need to have that contract before this goes to the ZBA?
I would prefer that. Yeah, I think that'd be wise to have that, all that information available to the ZBA and county zoning committee.
Part of the ordinance is it has that you have to have a signed lease agreement on every party to go forward with the ZBA.
So we still need that contract involved.
Yep.
Yeah, just be nice to have everything before us before we move forward.
Well, if we're going to move forward on it, then after today, we can notify them to send that stuff.
Correct.
Do you still want a motion?
What do you think? Do we need a motion or wait till we get the contract and do that?
You can have a motion to approve the bid and to go forward with citrine, and then contact them that, hey, we need to have all the finishing documents, including the lease documents, before anything goes after that, quite frankly, so. Because you had a bid process, they were the only bidder. If the board's inclined to accept that bid in this company, that's fine, we can do that today. But then going forward, they need to be contacted to say, okay, now we need all the details worked out as far as the lease agreements and so forth.
The motion approved by the committee was to accept the bid pending your approval and your review and approval, so.
Okay, that's been done. So, as far as my review of the bid has been done, and it's fine.
So I guess at this point, we're fine with what we have then.
Correct.
Are there any other questions or comments about the report? Mr. Kokenauer.
I just have one quick, I'm usually loud enough, I don't need that time. I just have a question on where it says at the bottom of page 1, snow removal and salt, little activity done a couple times a week. Greg said he said salt a couple times, Trent had plowed once. On the aged payables by invoice date, we got charged from Trent's lawn care for the removal of snow for the jail for $2,394.50, and then we got charged Somerville for the administration building, $2,202. Is that per removal of snow?
Well,
if he only did it once, is that what we're paying him for one time? I guess that's my question.
the contract is for a year, and so what they usually do is they split that total amount into 4 or whatever separate payments throughout the month or the year. So, yeah, I mean, this year they're making money because they're not having to do much.
Well, that is on the contract, but it's, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a yearly contract, so they just divide it out, and the reason it's on there in 2 different places is because it gets split between the sheriff's budget and our budget here.
Well, I understand that.
Okay.
It's similar to the same arrangement we have with the lawn mowing.
Okay.
And anybody that's got any suggestions on how to do better on that, we're glad to hear them.
Are there any other comments or questions on the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Crowe. Yes. Curtis. Doobie. Yes. Duhat.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Awful. Yes. Sure.
Yes.
Signot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Barons.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Okenauer. Okenauer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I apologize.
6-0.
Tax and zoning, Mr. Thickman.
Mr. Chairman and members of the County Board, your committee, to whom was referred tax/zoning, would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 2, 2019 at 1 p.m. Members present were Sticknot, Curtis, Awful, Bard, Kokenauer, and Doobie. Whitlow was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schur, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, Treasurer Kurt Albers, 911 Director Eric Raymond, ICPHD Director of Environmental Health Terry Iman, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Kokenauer and seconded by Doobie to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. Kokenauer questioned the $800,000 certificate of deposit that was purchased for the Highway Department. Treasurer Albers explained the Highway Department had excess funds and they wanted to invest. It was moved by Awful and seconded by Bard to pay the claims subject to county board approval. Motion carried by a roll call vote. There were no public comments. County Clerk Lisa Fancher informed the committee that the filing period for the consolidated election is now over. The local election officials are certifying their lists of candidates to send to the county clerk's office. Fancher reported letters were mailed to secretaries and clerks for all the units of local government to request their list of individuals that are required to file statements of economic interest. The statements will be mailed late February or early March. Also, the new recording fees went into effect today as a result of the law that requires a flat fee rather than a fee based upon the number of pages, etc. Fancher said there will be an adjustment period as many people are still using the old fee schedule. During old business, Bard referred to the December Tax Zoning Committee meeting minutes, which states a presentation was given by Microgrid Energy on the Brown Farm. Bard noted that there were 2 separate parcels to be considered and asked if this should be included in the minutes. Tax Zoning Chairman Sticknott said this question was asked at the board meeting, and Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yergler said the minutes referring to the Brown Farm were acceptable. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Doobie and seconded by Awful to adjourn the meeting at 1:09 p.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted and signed by those present, and I move for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the tax zoning committee report. Is there a second? Mrs. Awful seconds. Are there any questions or comments on the report?
I just have one quick question, I guess. I don't know, we didn't get this, taxes received at that meeting. Did we file them from Kurt? I think did this come from you, Kurt? We didn't get this at the meeting. I guess I just got a kind of a funny question. You got aviation fuel sales. Do we have an airport in Rensselaer County?
Kevin, we did discuss it.
Did we discuss it?
We do have a crop spraying operation here in the county, so that could be where it came
Okay.
from.
And that was from the public safety tax that was there, that's correct. That's where that's coming from.
Pardon me?
That money's coming from the public safety tax from the aviation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I do.
Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
Hughes. Awful.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Signot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt. Bard. Behrens. Bowers.
Yes.
Omenauer.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
16-0.
Health Committee, Mrs. Awful.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred health would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on January 2nd, 2019 at 1:30 p.m. Members present were Awful, Curtis, Bard, Omenauer, and Doobie. Whitlow was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Scher, ICPHD Director of Environmental Health, Terry Iman, EMA Director Eric Cece, Animal Control Director Dr. Youssef, 911 Director Eric Raymond, County Board Member Marvin Sticknott, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Ernie Curtis and seconded by Roger Bard to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Animal Control Director Dr. Youssef gave his monthly report stating they took in 16 dogs in December to transfer to other facilities. All were in good health. He also stated there were 0 cats and 0 bats in the month of December. Barbara Offa distributed the monthly animal control claims and recommended they be approved by the Finance Committee. Going forward, the animal control claims will be approved by the Health Committee. There were no agency reports. Director of Environmental Health Terry Iman distributed the monthly program summary report to the committee. Iman informed the committee ICPHD will be doing their own lead inspections, are in the process of purchasing an XRF machine. Iman shared a presentation on radon and how it affects our health. Iman explained radon is a colorless, odorless indoor air pollutant, and it is a radioactive gas that comes from the soil. Radon can enter your home through any opening between soil and foundation, such as your crawl space, sump pits, and cracks through your floors. Iman also shared the health department offers free tests to any resident once a year. Iroquois County is in Zone 1 on a radon chart, meaning it's very high in our area. Iman said radon causes 21,000 lung cancer deaths per year. Iman also stated all new homes built after 2013 must be built using techniques to reduce radon. And shared very few schools have been tested here in Illinois. I would also share that radon is the second leading cause in a smoker's death and the first leading cause in a non-smoker's death. Next month, the Health Committee will hear a presentation on septic systems. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Kevin Kokenauer and seconded by Bard to adjourn at 1:57 p.m. And I move for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the Health Committee report. Is there a second? Mr. Curtis, are there any questions or comments on the Health Committee report? Kevin?
Am I up again? I just have a question. Mr. Yurgler wasn't at this meeting, and I'll report to health. I know that. I know that. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, because it's concerning the radon inspections. Do we do radon inspections, and do we document that, or is it required?
I Jeff that, that's Jeff Meyer.
Who do we ask?
That's Jeff Meyer, he's a construction inspector.
Okay. Just curious, because I asked Terry, I know, at that meeting, and he said he didn't know anything about it, we'd have to ask our inspection.
I know.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Dooley.
Yes.
Duca.
Yes.
Hughes. Apple.
Yes.
Schuer.
Yes.
Signon.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kokenauer.
Yes.
Crowe. Curtis.
Yes.
16-0.
Judicial and Public Safety, Mr. Barron.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred judicial and public safety would beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the courthouse on January 2nd, 2019 at 3 p.m. Members present were Behrens, Duca, Barr, Hughes, Crowe, Chad McGinnis, and Jed Whitlow were absent. Also present, Sheriff Derek Hagan, State's Attorney Jim Devine, 911 Director Eric Raymond, County Board Chairman John Schur, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Paul Duca, second by Steve Hughes to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Sheriff Derek Hagan's monthly report for December included. Patrol had 679 calls for service for the month of December. Year-to-date calls for service 9,032. 2017 year-to-date was 6,283, 43% increase. Booked in 60 prisoners for the month of December. Year-to-date booked in 698. 2017 was 702. Average daily population in December was 24. Year-to-date average population was 24. Year-to-date average length of stay 15 days. Overtime in the jail for December was 199 hours on the schedule. Received new MDCs, 2 new squads, and equipment for squads. Year-end statistics are as follows. Calls for service 9,032. Prisoners booked in, adult 666. Juvenile 32. Total 698. Inmate transports to Department of Corrections 24. Inmates picked up at other counties 36. Civil process services 1,513. Tow reports 71. Accident reports 259. Offense reports 439. Hagan reported briefly on the deputy that had been on leave for 22 months. Employment has been terminated and Hagan will be hiring a new deputy within the next few months. State's Attorney Jim Devine informed the committee of an $8,000 claim to the State's Attorney Appellate Prosecutor's Office. Devine explained that this is a budgeted item and the cost is based upon the county's population. The Appellate Prosecutor's Office provides us with free seminars for continuing legal education, and they handle all of our appeals. It was moved by Donna Crowe, seconded by Hughes, to approve the resolution from the Office of the State's Attorney Appellate Prosecutor to represent the State's Attorney Office for all appellate cases. Motion carried by a voice vote. Devine also stated there is a murder trial scheduled for February 19th. 911 Director Eric Raymond distributed the ETSB report for December. The committee reviewed claims. It was moved by Crowe and seconded by Hughes. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Donna Crowe, second by Roger Barr, to adjourn the meeting at 3:30 PM. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, and I move for its adoption.
Motion on the floor to approve the report of the Judicial and Public Safety Committee. Is there a second? Steve Hughes seconds. Are there any questions or comments on the reports? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Ducat.
Yes.
Hughes. Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Stignot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kokenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
16-0.
Transportation and Highway, Mr. Roll.
Your committee, to whom was referred Transportation and Highway, the big Beavis to submit the following report on the matters before them. The committee met at the Iroquois County Highway Building on January 4 at 9 a.m. Members present were all Young, Hughes, Zumwalt, Crowe, and Johnson. Chad McGinnis was absent. Also present, County Engineer Joel Moore and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Joe Young and seconded by John Zumwalt to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote. There was no public comments. The claims and financial reports for the months were reviewed. It was moved by John Zumwalt and seconded by McGinnis to pay the bills subject to the county board's approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. County Highway, $54,876. County Bridge, $3,368. And County MFT, $34,403. And Township MFT, $0. More discussed maintenance letting date. More stated that it would be held at the County Highway Building on Wednesday, January 30th at 9 a.m. During the old business, board member Donna Crowe asked County Engineer Joe Moore what was applied for with Chapel Bridge. Moore went on to explain it consists of major bridge funds that detail meeting specific funds over $1 million. Moore stated that if the funds are granted, it would take up to 5 years for the county to receive the funds. But also shared when they were applied for it in the past for Woodland Bridge that applied 2 to 3 times before receiving a grant. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Zumwalt and seconded by Young to submit to adjourn at 9:20 a.m. Motion carried. All of this is correctly submitted. Make a motion for its approval.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the Transportation and Highway Department. Is there a second? This is awful second. Are there any questions or comments about the report? Mr. Ducat.
Chairman, against absent, we seconded the pay bills. Do you show a plate?
No, it wasn't there. I don't know what else. Who seconded it?
We can get it.
Okay. Anything else?
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Hughes.
Yes.
Awful.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Stignot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kokenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
16-0.
Next on the agenda are the claims. Have a motion to approve. Mr. Ducat, is there a second? Mr. Zumwalt, are there any questions or comments regarding the claims? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Awful.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Stignot.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Okenauer,
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Ducott,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Motion carried 16-0.
Next on the agenda are appointments. Before asking for a motion on the appointments, I've asked that the appointment of Mr. Ducott be removed. Apparently there's some misunderstandings and further questions that need to be resolved in that matter, so we'll forego his approval at this time. The motion is so stated. Is there a motion to approve the appointments as I indicated? Mr. Hughes, is there a second? Mr. Duquette? Are there any questions or comments about this matter? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Are there any old business this morning to come before the board? Seeing none, is there any new business to come before the board? Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Bowers, is there a second? Mr. Curtis, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.